mistakes that I see them make when their kid engages in high-risk behavior is they think, it's probably just a stage.
It was kind of one of those things, like I had everything going for me, and you can't really stop a tornado once it's like going. Like, what are you gonna
do? Of course, alcohol under the age of 21 is illegal, and therefore that's high-risk behavior. Anything that might spike the dopamine levels in your brain. And so that could be alcohol, drugs, it could be food, sex, gambling, pornography, cutting. There's a lot of different behaviors out there. Anything, I mean, even exercise, all of those different things can be addictive.
I think, in high school, I started experimenting with a few beers, maybe a little marijuana, and I'd always told myself, hey, like, hard drugs are for losers and not for me. But I found myself breaking those promises to myself, and I found myself experimenting, and it seemed very progressive in nature to me, and without my permission, it just sort of happened, which was kind of scary. I kind of lost control.
But dopamine is the primary neurotransmitter of reward. And so whenever we do something that's really good for our survival, we get a spike in dopamine. So when we eat, for instance, we get a spike of 100%. Cocaine increases dopamine by 350%. Meth is 1,100%. Heroin is 1,300%. This is why we can get addicted to anything that spikes dopamine levels too high.
This mental thing of just like, I have to have it. It just fills this hole, like this void that was there before. And for the alcoholic or drug addict, they have this allergic reaction to alcohol or drugs that when they ingest it, they just need more. And it sets off this mental craving. It has nothing to do with willpower.
What I recommend is that parents go big. Make sure that they give appropriate consequences early on. Our job as a parent is to protect our kids' frontal lobes as they grow into adulthood. And high-risk behaviors arrest that development. And I have met a lot of adults older than the age of 25 that have arrested development from the substances they used in college, much less high school. And what happens with arrested development is you just don't think as fast. You don't peak as high as you could. And life on life's terms is more difficult because your learning curve is flatter. It just takes you longer to learn.
Yeah, so I was like, good grades. I mean, nothing spectacular in college, but a 3.0 at that time at TCU. And I was a lacrosse player in high school. I started the club lacrosse team at my school and was, all-state here, all-state honorable mention, all these different, awards. And I was the leader among my friends. And I got in a car accident. I was driving home from a party after I'd been drinking. And so there was a passenger in my car. She was injured. And so I had a number of legal consequences from that. But after that, I've been sober ever since that day. I checked myself into treatment.
Do is you say, here's our family code, and if you choose to follow it, which I hope you do, you will earn all the rewards that we can possibly bestow upon you. Your cell phone, your privileges, your car, all that great stuff. If you choose not to follow our family code of ethics, you will lose the phone, the car, the privileges, and so forth. If I find out that you have decided to go against the family code and you engaged in the behavior, then your consequence will be here. But if I find out from anyone else except you that you've done this, your consequence will be here. And so you earn a lot of extra points for calling me and letting me come pick you up.
Accountability among friends to hold each other accountable in the sense of loss of control, or be like, hey man, something's happening. I think we need open communication lines between parents and kids. I think that, what do you do after you've already messed up, If after they've already had a drink, or after, are they able to call home and be like, hey, I can't drive? I think we need to broaden and make it not such a taboo subject. That it's a real thing and it affects real people, and it affects so many people around us that we kind of pass it off as a moral character or willpower thing. And really it's a disease that's affecting them. That
You have scientific justification to be your child's frontal lobe until they have developed a fully one of their own. So if you have a 16-year-old child, they have about 50% frontal lobe capacity. That means you still have to be their frontal lobe 50% of the time.
no one really ever sets out in life to be, a total mess up, and like all the consequences that come with it, and just the hollow feeling that from being that, and just no one ever wants to have that label on them. They didn't pick that path because of the winning one. It was they get sucked in because they have a disease.
Raise your brain. Protect your brain from high-risk behavior.
Out the way, out the way. I'm a cannonball. Out the way, out the way. Out the way this time. Out the way, out the way. I'm a cannonball. Out the way, out the way. Out the way this time. Out the way, out the way.